Intelligence, he announced. Mika noticed how everyone clustered near Zilkel. Everyone but her. A conspicuous 2-meter radius formed around her like an invisible force field. Only Ma stood beside her, unfazed. Next, they descended into the cave systems. At the entrance, Professor Zielke called out, "Breathing filters on some spores induced mild hallucinations." Cool air rushed past as they entered, tinged with minerals and something sweet. The cave opened into a magnificent chamber where stalactites glowed in slow pulses, blue, green, purple. The Lumini fungi, Zielke said, communicate through bioluminescence. Some believe they possess a rudimentary collective intelligence. Mika stared in wonder. "They're talking in lights." "Exactly," Zielke actually sounded pleased. "Rhythms convey nutrient levels, danger, moisture, intent. They move deeper, narrow passages, force them to squeeze sideways. One student, Taya, a large reptilian alien with scales that changed color, looked increasingly anxious. His scales had shifted to a worried yellow-green. "Perfectly safe," Zielke assured them. "These caves are millennia old." As if summoned by irony, the ground trembled, pebbles skittered, the ceiling above them groaned. "That's not usual," Zielke murmured. Another tremor, louder, a crack split the ceiling. "Everyone, back to the entrance," a security officer ordered. They barely made it a few meters before the ceiling collapsed with a thunderous roar, sending tons of rock cascading between Mika's group and the main party. Dust filled the air. The tunnel was sealed. "We're okay," Mika shouted. A faint voice filtered through the rock. "Remain calm. Contacting excavation crew. Stay where you are." "How long?" she yelled. "Pause." "Several hours, minimum." A second rumble cut off the connection. Silence fell. Krill, a bioluminescent aquatic alien in a hovering water tank, floated anxiously. A fine crack had appeared on his tank's side, water beginning to leak out. Jeev, a crystalline being whose facets glimmered like a disco ball, stared silently at the spreading fissure. "We're on our own," Ma said softly. Everyone looked at Mika. Her instincts kicked in. Not to scream, not to cry, but to survive. "No," she said firmly. "We're not sitting here waiting to suffocate. We find another way out." Taz's scales rippled nervously. Professor Zielke said. "We don't have time," Mika said, pointing at Quill's leaking tank. "We move now." She opened her field pack, pulling out tools, adhesives, thermal blankets. "Ma, do you have a map?" He fumbled with his data pad. "Only partial main tunnels, only better than."
"Nothing, Jiv. Can you sense rock density?" "Yes, I can scan vibration differentials through my crystal structure." "Perfect. Taz." "Low light vision." He nodded slowly. "Better than most. Then you're our eyes." She patched Quill's tank with material from her own jacket, sealing the crack with quick dry adhesive. Then she wrapped it with a thermal blanket. "This will hold temporarily, but we'll need to refill it if we find water." They stared at her as if she had 6 heads. "Here's the situation," she said calmly. "The air is thinning, temperature's dropping. Those flying things are circling." Everyone glanced toward the edge of their light pool, where a few bat-like shapes flitted silently. "We move or we die." "Let's go." They followed her. The narrow tunnel wound downward. The bioluminescent fungi grew sparse patches of blackness stretching between their pools of ghostly light. Tar took point. Mika and Ma helped guide Krill's unstable tank. Jiv periodically pressed her crystalline body to the walls, listening with her entire form. After an hour, Ta stumbled. "Can't breathe," he gasped. His scales had gone a sickly gray-green. "Hypoxia," Mika said, kneeling beside him. "You're panicking. Breathe with me." She demonstrated slow, controlled breaths. Ta mimicked her slowly. His color brightened. "How did you know?" he whispered. "Mountain climbing," Mika answered. "Earth's atmosphere gets thinner at elevation." You climb mountains for fun. Ta looked baffled. My family does Mount Hood every summer. There were no words, just stunned silence. A screech echoed behind them. The bat creatures were growing bold. Weapons. Ma squeaked. Mika's eyes scanned the ground. Fallen stalactites, long, sharp. She grabbed one, snapped off the end, and handed out makeshift spears. Go for wings or eyes. We're not prey. When the first creature dove, Mika shouted and stabbed upward. It shrieked and veered away. The others circled cautiously, but didn't attack. We show we're dangerous, Mika said. They'll look for easier targets eventually. Jiv froze. I sensed strong vibration ahead. Liquid flow, a lot of it. They turned down a steep tunnel. Minutes later, they emerged onto a ledge above a glowing underground river. There, Ta pointed. That opening daylight. But the current's too strong to swim, Ma said. My tank floats, Krill offered. It could serve as a raft. They lashed themselves to it, using strips from Mika's jacket and BOI knees. Jiv perched on top. Too dense to float otherwise. Everyone ready? Na asked. 4 nods. 3, 2, 1. The current seized them. Instantly, the raft spun and bobbed. The cave opened into a wide chute. The exit loomed ahead, glowing orange in contrast to the phosphorescent blue. Mika's eyes widened waterfall. The tank launched out into empty space, then plunged 30 feet into a pool below. She tumbled, lost grip. Ears popping, her lungs screamed. Then she gasped. Mastaz Krill. One by one, heads surfaced. Krill's tank, miraculously intact, bobbed nearby. They scrambled to shore, soaked and gasping, collapsing on warm purple moss. We did it, Ma whispered. No, Ta said. Mika did. A familiar sphere hovered overhead. Zikal, flanked by security and students. This is impossible, Zikal murmured. Mika staggered to her feet, bruised, muddy, freckled, wild curls clinging to her face. Your models didn't account for deathers, she said simply. Words spread fast. Within days, the whispers had changed. No longer fear, respect. Mika had faced danger with calm adapted. Lead Professor Zikal called her into his office. I'm revising my curriculum. Our assumptions about Class 5 species require updating. You've demonstrated that environmental adversity breeds not just survivors, but innovators. Mika smiled. So Earth's not just dangerous, it's good training. Precisely, Zikal said, tentacles curling in approval. Would you be willing to contribute your perspective in future lectures? I'd be honored. Her academic track changed. Mr. Yorn, now sheepish, transferred her out of remedial classes. Her new roommate Pelkey, a shell creature who changed color to communicate, turned pink whenever Mika shared Earth stories. Even Zikasel, her original roommate, approached her one day. I want to apologize, Zikasel said stiffly. I acted out of ignorance. You're not a hazard. You're impressive. Apology accepted, Mika said gently. Earth is scary. I get it. I'd like to learn more from you. And so Mika found herself surrounded by curiosity, by admiration, by community. She taught survival skills, explained heat stroke and fire starting. Even Plex eventually turned off his shield around her. At the closing ceremony, Administrator Plex, unshielded, stepped forward. This term reminds us true education means challenging our assumptions. He turned to Mika. It is my honor to present a commendation for excellence in crisis leadership to Mika Hargreaves of Earth. The crowd erupted. She stepped forward, nervous eyes on her. When I came here, the microphone, I was just a girl who liked hiking and science. I didn't feel tough or dangerous, but Earth shaped me, and I'm proud of that. She looked out at the sea of species, tentacles, scales, fur, crystals. The truth is, every species adapts. That's what makes us all extraordinary. Later, she overheard a security officer whisper, Federation's rethinking the classification system. Military and science divisions are both interested in Earthlings. Ta raised a glass to Mika, who taught us that survival isn't about fear. It's about facing the impossible.